Yeah, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, all of you who have joined us. Yes, as the chair has indicated, yeah, I'm coming from Nalikule College of Education in Malawi, Lilongwe, Malawi, and I'm specifically employed as consultancy manager under the Center of Research and Consultancy. Myself and my colleagues, we did a study which we looked at the pedagogical approaches which are mostly used in secondary schools. Specifically, we targeted open secondary schools. Maybe just a quick background of what is this open secondary school. In Malawi, we have several tiers of education system. We have in early childhood, primary education, secondary education, and tertiary. So, and secondary education, we have a conventional secondary school, which is like this one. The students are when they pass or when they graduate from the primary school, they get selected to secondary schools, and all those who have not done well, they go to this parallel program or parallel education system known as open secondary school. So in terms of contact hours, these conventional secondary schools, they start learning from possibly 7:30 up to 2:30 p.m. And after that, the open secondary school, they come in to occupy the same spaces, the classroom spaces from 2:30 up to 5 o'clock. So as you can see, there are some discrepancies or differences in terms of contact hours. So now, having looking at these systems, we focused on the type of instruction which is used in the open secondary schools. This secondary school which commences the learning from 2:30 in the afternoon up to 5 p.m. So that's the title of our the study. We try to reimagine ODeL instruction approaches in order to prepare these open secondary schools for a global market. Now, a little bit of introduction. As indicated, open secondary schools, the type of instruction it's under called ODL platform, whereby learners learn at their own pace. They engage or participate in their own learning. And also in ODL, we anticipate that the learners do develop high order learning, thinking skills and get subject to real-time student assessment. However, this is the conventional ODL, but in Malawi, it's not exactly what is happening, especially in these open secondary school. The learners in these open secondary schools, they normally have the face-to-face type of learning with limited contact hours. As indicated, it's about 3 hours against their counterparts, which they learn up to maybe 5 hours, 6 hours. So there is limited contact hours, and also in most cases, the teachers who teach in these open secondary school are the ones who teach in these conventional. So when they go to the open secondary school, possibly it's when they're tired. So in most cases, the attention is not as the same as the conventional. So in most cases, indicated through various studies, there are teacher-centered methods which are being practiced in these open secondary schools. So the use of these traditional methods, they deprive the learners of the opportunity to participate fully in their own learning. In this case, it means in the end, they normally have lower levels of performance. So which this one affects their own in terms of how they can, when they graduate, they go to the market, how they perform. It differs to their counterparts. So having looked at this, then we try to say, how can we maybe look at other alternatives in terms of the pedagogic approaches. So we saw that there is this differentiated instruction which can be suited in these environments. So according to various writers, this differentiated instruction is linked to student engagement, motivation, academic performance, and feelings of autonomy and competency. So in this setup, we felt that indeed, if this differentiated instruction is implemented in these open secondary school, it means we can have learners who have acquired necessary skills, who are ready for the job global market. So that is why it necessitated us that we should carry out the study, and also at the end of it all, try to develop an instruction approach that can promote engagement of students. So those are the objectives. So we had 3/4 what we wanted to achieve in this study. First of all, wanted to validate since there's a lot of talk, or a lot of several writers wrote about the use of these traditional methods. So we wanted to validate if indeed in these open secondary school, we have these kind of instruction approaches being used. And again, we also would like to understand if the teachers are aware of this differentiated instruction. So if they are aware, how will they do, how this differentiated instruction can be applied in this context. And also, since we are living the digital world, we thought maybe if we can make use of the technologies to assist in these instructions, then it means maybe these learners can be assisted. So we wanted to assess the implications of also using these existing technologies. I need also to talk that or to emphasize the point that we used what is known as TPAC framework, which guided this study. This TPAC is simply means technology, pedagogy, and content knowledge. In this case, it's like there are 3 sets which they have been combined, or they intersect. So the 3 sets we have for technological content, the pedagogical content, and content knowledge. What does this framework say? This framework, it requires teachers to help learners acquire content knowledge using appropriate teaching methods and via relevant technologies. In here, it's like it demands that teachers, when they are trying to deliver the content, it means they must use appropriate approaches which will meet the device need, which will meet the device needs of the learners, and also via use of relevant technologies. So we use that framework. Now, in terms of the design, we employ the mixed methods in order for us to correct both numeric and categorical data. And in terms of this will help us indeed to converge the conclusions, so that should answer the questions which we had. So the questions included like for trying to find the efficacy of instruction approaches currently in use, And also need to probe, we want to also probe more on the ODL instruction approach that can best transition learners to be competitors at the global market. Yeah, sample in this case, like I said, we target open secondary schools in Malawi. So the primary targets, we had ODL facilitators. These are teachers who teach in these open secondary school, coordinators, and even the head teachers. So the facilitators and coordinators were primarily as incorporated as primary respondent in these open secondary schools, because these are the teachers, so they have the experiences, and they will be the one responsible to answer some of these questions that we had. And also the open secondary school head teachers will try to find out the management aspect of these schools. So the participants were drawn from the northern, central, and southern region of Malawi. Sample technique and sample size. We used purposive sampling. Specifically, we used critical case sampling. Why critical case sampling? We believe that this sample will help us correct critical case samples that are likely to give us the information we are looking for. In this, what we're saying is, in our reading, or in our the sources that we have got the information, or several writers, they indicated that schools, open schools, which has got huge enrollments, are the ones who mostly use these teacher-centered methods. So these schools with huge enrollments, to us, they form part of the critical samples. So these samples will help us to have a deep understanding of the problem at hand. So in this case, what we had, we wanted to have 2 schools from each region, which have got huge enrollments. And also, like I said, the reason was based on the assumption that large classes always prefer the use of traditional methods. So simply that the sample size. So research instrument data collection, questionnaires, and of course interviews. These we had virtual interview from the northern and the southern region of Malawi, while in-person interviews were conducted in the central region of Malawi. So and also the questionnaires, we sent questionnaires and the like, and we had that response rate. Yeah, now we go to the results. For the first objective, indeed the finding shows that both the facilitators and the coordinators indicated that they use these teacher-centered methods as compared to learner-centered methods. So as you can see, more than 70% of these respondents agreed that indeed these traditional methods are used. So this was corroborated by a head teacher who indeed indicated that indeed this is the most used approach. Now, when we try to inquire about this differentiated instruction approach, whether they feel that the use of one method negatively affect the possibility of students' discovery of their potentials to attain varied skills. According to the chart there, you can see that more than 60% of these agreed that indeed one method negative affect the learners to discover their own potential in terms of acquire different skills. And also they believed that, and they accepted that learners learn better when they are involved in the teaching. So Yeah, the same applied when we try to inquire if they still agree that indeed this differentiated learning has contributes, or learners under this instruction, they achieve higher levels of student engagement, better academic performance, higher levels of student pride. As you can see in the chart there, and more than 60% agreed that indeed this differentiated instruction, it's a way to go. Indeed, it's the better approach in these scenarios. Now, in terms of the technology, be infused in these instructions, the implications, if indeed we try to inquire if indeed technology can better assist in these environments whereby they can help the students acquire knowledge and even different skills. Indeed, the ODeL facilitators and coordinators agreed that technology assists in teaching of subject content. It can also promote interactive between students and teacher students, and promote thinking and solving different problems. Now, we also try to inquire from there if they could recommend adoption and use of learner-centered instruction method, which with infusion of technology. As you can, as the table illustrates, 62% of the facilitators, they said they would likely recommend the adoption and use of learner-centered methods with integration of technology. Similarly, we had 75% of coordinators who do the same, who accept if indeed we have this a framework or an approach whereby it promotes use of learner-centered methods and also integration of technology. And even one of the respondent, categorical respondent, stated that technology embedded instruction approach will bring the learning closer to the students. That's what he believed. That's what he responded in terms of this question. Now, having looked at these results, we found that indeed um, these traditional methods is currently applied. It was currently applied in this setup. Most in schools which has got high enrollment rates. So this use is indeed frustrating efforts. For example, African Youth Charter for 2006, where it says that learners should have ability to take part in their own learning, discover their own indeed skills and on and all that. So the use of these traditional methods, indeed is in contrast to these visions and framework. And also in terms of the effectiveness of differentiated instruction, yes, we saw that indeed indeed these survey participants accepted that differentiated instruction is the way to go in these environments, in the ODeL setup. And they are consistent with different writers who, and even studies was conducted about differentiated instruction. Yeah, so in terms of how technology can be useful in ODeL classrooms, we have also seen that the respondent did not disagree that technology stimulates learning. Yeah, so that's the views, and as we can see that we observed that most of the respondents, they will accept, or they will indeed except if we had an instruction whereby the use of technology is advanced and also is incorporated in that instruction approach. So having having got those results, these results encouraged us to sit down and looking at how we can improve or how we can assist in these circumstances. So with the advent of technology, indeed, study response believe its integration in teaching and learning can transform the education sector, especially in the instruction of ODL. So as we saw that most of these respondents, they believe that indeed, if technology is infused with the teaching methods, we are less assured that the students will achieve what they intended to achieve. So with this, it's felt that indeed there is an urgent need of development and instructional approach with inducement of technology into it. So we developed a framework, which we call it COMAD Instruction Framework. COMAD is just an abbreviation, which means competency and materials in differentiated instruction. What do we mean, or what do we propose here? What we are proposing, as you can see on the first set, we have what is known as the function of teachers' competency on the left-hand side. This what we are saying that when the teachers have been prepared, it means before they go into the classrooms, these teachers must have knowledge of the technology, which can be applied. They should also have knowledge of the content, the subject matter, which is to be applied, which is to be delivered in the classrooms, and also should have knowledge of the different methodologies which they can use in these classrooms. So this is a function of teachers' competences. We know that it means the competences differs. So that's why it's a function. Some can be well knowledgeable in these aspects, so others may not. So that's the function. Then, indeed, before they go into this classroom to teach, it means they must be provided with the relevant teaching and learning materials. So this one, the provision, these ones is done through the management process, like the head teacher and all the other management tiers of the school. So the teaching and learning materials will help if this teacher who is well prepared in terms of the technology, content, and pedagogy, and is given the necessary materials, it means they go into this classroom well knowledgeable that this classroom has got different learners with different abilities. So it means in this classroom, you must use differentiated instruction, meaning they should employ different methods, not only just one method. So, and the methods should be also assisted by the technology. So in this case, if this is done, it means we projected that at the end of it, the education cycle will have students who have got high levels of pride in themselves. These students have better overall academic performance, and also high levels of engagement and motivation. Yeah, so that's the explanation. Now, these questions can arise. Is this study necessary, or what contribution has this study brought to the profession? One, this study has validated that indeed in these open secondary schools, mostly you open secondaries with high enrollments, there is over-reliance of teacher-centered methods. That's the traditional methods. And also it has provided specific empirical evidence. For example, 80% of the coordinator and 70% of the teachers linked this in effective pedagogy, that's the teacher-centered methods, directed to practical constraints. These practical constraints is attributable to limited contact hours. They say because we have limited contact hours. For example, we only have 3 hours to teach. So we can't use these differentiated because it means at the end of it, I'll fail to deliver what is prescribed for each academic year, like the curriculum. So for them to fast track, that's why they use the teacher-centered, so that they should be within. And also they indicated that because of the congestion of huge enrollments, they can't use these other methods in the classrooms. And also other contribution, the development of this instructional framework, the COMAT. This is a game changer in the profession, because I indicated, the use of when the teachers are well prepared in terms of the content, in terms of the pedagogy, and even the technology, and with the provision of the necessary materials, it means they can deliver the content, and also the learners will achieve what they are intended to achieve. So even this study has also provided a concrete actionable roadmap for open administrators and teachers to transition from what we are as of now to an effective technology-enabled differentiated instruction. So these are some of the contributions this study has um, um, put in place, or put up out there. Yeah, so thank you. This marks the end of the presentation. Thank you.